I see there are some more visitors and guests and members still coming into our sanctuary. I'm going to invite folks in from the foyer as we welcome you to this Sunday, to this congregation, Beacon Unitarian Universalist Congregation. I'm Reverend Robin. My pronouns are she, her. I'm an average height white woman, and today I'm wearing a multicolored stole and multicolored shirt, feeling the refulgence of the last little bits of summer into fall here as the temperatures rise, and also feeling the beautiful, vibrant gift of some guests that we have from our partner congregations. And I want to take a moment to welcome our guests as they come into our sanctuary. As some of you know, we have had a partnership with the congregation in Barote, Transylvania since 1992, and an enduring, vibrant partnership that was flourishing into a tri-partnership in 2020. It's an amazing story that in the midst of the pandemic, we were able to build this tri-partnership across miles and time zones. We created a covenant, and this tri-partnership is now thriving. And what a gift. We know it was a challenge in this political environment to get the necessary visas to make it possible for our partners, both from Barote, Transylvania and Jawai, India, to be here with us in the United States to visit with us for our very first tri-partnership American visit. So we welcome you. Thank you for being here. And we never like to do this, but I wonder if our visiting partners could just rise so we can receive who you are and make sure that we say hello. We have a few more guests who are coming in, and next week we are going to get to hear from our partners, hear about their experiences, why this partnership matters, and so I'm excited to learn from the wisdom of our Unitarian siblings from Barote and Jawai. I'm also delighted to introduce my colleague and friend. We're friends now, right? Right, Reverend Morgan McLean. Yeah, you had dinner at my house. You're definitely a friend. Reverend Morgan McLean from the Unitarian Universalist Association is here, and she will be bringing us a few words later in our service about our partnership and why it matters. So, beloved, I welcome you to this community that is committed to radical inclusion, to feeding the human spirit, and yes, healing the world. And as we begin our service, I invite you to take a breath with me. Center yourself in. Perhaps for you, that is adjusting to a new time zone. Perhaps for you, that is catching your breath if you rushed here this morning, taking a moment to look out these windows and take in the changing season, the glory of this day, and the sheer miracle, truly, that we are here together in this moment. So let us worship. So let us consider what is of worth. Welcome.
Good morning. I am Rosemary Wright, your worship associate for today. I am an older woman in black and white, and my pronouns are she, her. I'd like to invite a volunteer to come forward to help light the chalice. Mark? Oh, here he comes. All right. That was easy. I was good. Okay. Our words come from Katie Savati Gelfand, who is the Director of Religious Exploration in the congregation that raised her, the First Unitarian Universalist Church of New Orleans. We light our chalice as a symbol of gratitude as we celebrate the abundance of our lives together. In this sanctuary, we harvest bushels of strength for one another and offer our crop with the hands of compassion and generosity. In the authentic and gentle manner of our connections, we cultivate a simple sweetness to brighten our spirits. May we be grateful for the ways we nourish and uplift each other. For it is the sharing of this hallowed time together that sustains us.
Good morning. My name is Misa Iwama. I'm the Director of Music Ministry. So happy to be here today with you. We're going to start, well, first of all, we're going to start because John O'Neill is playing the piano today. Thank you so much, John. And we're going to sing hymn number 347, which is Gather the Spirit. As you get that hymn ready in your charcoal hymnal, just say that the greatness about the refrain in this hymn is it talks about all the different ways that we do gather in peace, in thanks, in sympathy, in hope. So I invite you to rise and body your spirit and join in singing. It's 347. Gather the spirit, harvest the power, our separate fires will kindle one flame. Witness the mystery of this hour. Our trials this line appear all the same. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then. Gather in hope, compassion and strength. Gather to celebrate once again. Gather the spirit of heart and mind. Seeds for the sowing are laid in store. Nurtured in love and conscience refined. With body and spirit united once more. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then. Gather in hope, compassion and strength. Gather to celebrate once again. Gather the spirit growing in all, drawn by the moon and fed by the sun. Winter to spring and summer to fall. The chorus of life resounding as one. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then. Gather in hope, compassion and strength. Gather to celebrate once again.
Good morning. Thank you so much for inviting me, Robin, and partners to be here with you this morning. I'm Reverend Morgan McLean, and I am the Director of Global Connections at the Unitarian Universalist Association. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm a white woman in my 40s with long-ish brown hair. I have the delight of serving in that role of the Director of Global Connections. It's wonderful to be here to celebrate a piece of that. If you're sitting here and just learning that there are Unitarian and Unitarian Universalists globally, you're not alone. We have such wonderful ways that we make connections. Unitarian Universalists in the United States never really did mission work. We didn't do church planting around the world. But we have found that that spark of truth, of questioning the same radical ideas that happened in the United States when the Unitarians and the Universalists were asking their questions and finding ways that they came together. Those same questions, those same impulses have sprouted around organically. And you'll hear more about that next week from your partners and throughout the week in their histories. And indeed, if you were to look at a map of the world, you would see pins of communities all over the place. There's in Transylvania, it's over 450 years old. And in Brazil, they've just formed a new organization, a new community with 12 people who meet online. We've got pins in South Africa and Kenya and Burundi and in the Czech Republic and the United Kingdom and in the Philippines and Australia and so many points in between. We have such a rich global faith. Partnership here was this beautiful idea that started 30 years ago. So Summit must have been one of those very first partnerships. And 30 years ago, there was this idea that they called radical because it was that the most radical thing you could do is introduce people to each other, to share your faith in new ways. And so over the last 3 decades, over 150 congregational partnerships were made, including here, and mostly in Transylvania, and some in India, some in the Philippines, and a couple in Kenya at this point. There were lots that happened in those partnerships over decades. Friendships, births, deaths, new buildings, scholarships, beautiful congregational partnerships, pilgrimages, sharing our lives in new ways. And I think you all know how that goes because you all come to church every week and do that. You share your lives here. And so this idea that you can share your lives even broader with an even larger understanding of Unitarian Universalism is really a beautiful thing. I will admit that there were challenges along the way. I don't know if you know this, but Americans can be a little bossy. Yeah, sometimes we think we know what's best for everybody. We are incredibly generous, but sometimes we put conditions on our generosity. And boy, do we love spreadsheets. But you know, the rest of the world doesn't really exist in spreadsheets and conditional friendship and giving. And so we have learned a lot about ourselves, about our bossy Western imperial ways, and ways that we might learn to be in truer mutual relationship with our partners. And so I'm just so delighted that Summit is this, well, beacon. Beacon is a beacon of centering relationships, of finding new ways to decenter the American experience and to truly share in a mutual understanding of faith and friendship, of spirituality, to listen without judgment, to learn, to not think that our way is the only way, or that Unitarian Universalism is some spectrum where people have to achieve what we have. No, we have these unique communities and these unique ways of expressing our faith. So I just celebrate. I'm so glad to be here with you, celebrating your decades of partnership and then your reimagining and your commitment to this new way of partnership and modeling for other people how to do this, to learn. And certainly I know that this partnership, maybe you could raise your hand if you've been on the partnership committee or you've volunteered this week. I see Jean. I see Jean on a lot of phone calls. And there's so many people who aren't in this room, right, who have been for decades supporting and ministers and directors of religious exploration. And it takes so many people to nurture these relationships. But it also takes all of you. And I hope that you've seen that incredible schedule for the next couple weeks. I hope that you'll join in the potluck after church, but then so much more opportunities to get to know your partners, to center those relationships, and just step outside of your own self for a minute to see how other people see the world. So thank you for having me. Thank you for being part of this new way of doing partnership. This congregation is the only congregation that has this three-way partnership, this tri-partnership, and I really hope and expect that it will indeed be a model and something that we can all aspire to find new ways to be together. Thank you.
Good morning, Beacon. My name is Allison Murphy, she, her. I'm a 40-something white woman with brown hair, and I'm wearing a red stole, which means that I'm one of the chaplains here at Beacon. The role of chaplains is to extend the spiritual care of our community. One of the ways that we do that is by meeting one-on-one with members of the community who are in need of deep listening. Those conversations are always held in the strictest confidence. And if you find yourself ever in need of someone to listen, you can reach out to one of the members of our chaplain team or to one of the members of our lead ministry team. Another one of our roles as chaplains is to lead our community candle lighting. We have this ritual of community candle lighting together to join and light candles for the joys, sorrows, and gratitudes we hold in our hearts. This morning, we lit a candle of sadness and appreciation for a life well lived for member Carolyn Johnson, who passed away on September 12th, shortly after a diagnosis with cancer. Carolyn was a much-loved member of our Beacon community since 1976, when she and her husband, Jim, joined our congregation. A celebration of Carolyn's life is planned for Saturday, October 25th at 1 p.m. in our sanctuary at 4 Waldron Ave. We lit a candle of support for John Franklin, father-in-law of Kara Soley Franklin, and for his family of caregivers who are supporting John while he struggles with his health. We light a candle of solidarity and compassion for cities across the country being terrorized by ICE, especially in Chicago, where children were zip-tied by ICE agents this week. And we light a candle of joy for all the small, quiet moments of joy that each of us is able to find in what often feels like a tumultuous and chaotic world. We invite you all to come forward now and light a candle for what's on your heart this morning.
on this morning of celebrating the harvest, we're going to do a short song by Debbie Friedman, and it says, "Those who sow in tears will reap in joy." And maybe that means that when we're doing the hard work and mourning a lot of things that are happening right now, that in fact will be the seeds that will create a time of joy in the future. Those who sow in tears will reap in joy, will reap in joy. Those who sow in tears will reap in joy. Would you like to sing together? It goes, those who sow in tears will reap in joy, will reap in joy. Those who sow in tears will reap in joy.
We're now going to read a responsive reading from the hardback hymnal, number 568. It's called Connections Are Made Slowly. And you read the italic parts, and I'll read the regular type. Connections are made slowly. Sometimes they grow underground.
You cannot tell always by looking what is happening.
More than half a tree is spread out in the soil under your feet.
Penetrate quietly as the earthworm that blows no trumpet.
Fight persistently as the creeper that brings down the tree.
Spread like the squash plant that overruns the garden.
Gnaw in the dark and use the sun to make sugar.
Weave real connections, create real nodes, build real houses.
Live a life you can endure. Make love that is loving. Sorry.
Keep tangling and interweaving and taking more in, a thicket and bramble wilderness to the outside, but to us, interconnected with rabbit runs and burrows and lairs.
Live as you like yourself, and it may happen.
Reach out, keep reaching out, keep bringing in.
This is how we are going to live for a long time. Not always.
For every gardener knows that after the digging, after the planting, after the long season of tending and growth, the harvest comes. I'm going to invite our ushers now to pass out some acorns as I invite you into a meditation on the acorn. And I also begin with a confession, which is these acorns were in our attic, and so I didn't collect acorns. And when I placed them this morning, I discovered that the top is a real acorn that has been glued to a slightly squishy foam fake acorn body, which is an interesting metaphor for the meditation. But perhaps in our lives it is difficult right now to discern what is real. And maybe this is a metaphor in and of itself. Or maybe you're just having a squishy fake acorn kind of day. That's okay too. I'm going to begin with the words of the poet Mosaba Bu Toha that were gifted to me and to our board yesterday at our board retreat by our board member, Kathleen Grant. This poem is entitled, "We Love What We Have." And I invite you, as you hold this half acorn in your hands, perhaps to find a comfortable resting position that would allow you to receive these words in the meditation that will follow in the spirit of openness and listening. We love what we have, no matter how little, because if we don't, everything will be gone. If we don't, we will no longer exist, since there will be nothing here for us. What's here is something that we are still building. It's something we cannot yet see because we are a part of it. Someday soon, this building will stand on its own while we will be the trees that protect it from the fierce wind. The trees that will give shade to children sleeping inside or playing on swings. Breathing again with me deeply in and releasing. Holding this acorn as yet one more metaphor, turning into the harvest season. Imagining yourself as the tree that will nurture the generations that follow. What do you release now to earth? What do you seed now from your life? What are you called in this season to tend and to cultivate, to take care of, to protect? What shade will your life offer long after you are done living? Does your acorn, does your intention have a word or phrase that you can distill in this moment? A guidance for the days to come when the winds are fierce, when the way is not clear, when despair within you rises. What is the word or intention of your life that will guide you? Taking one more breath in with me, releasing it, And if you have that word or phrase and you feel comfortable sharing that in this sanctuary, I invite you to do so now. So may the intentions of our heart and the collective light of this community guide us in all the days that we are given. Amen, and blessed be.
I love that we have some of the youngest members of the congregation here today, because then everyone can learn our next piece, Spirit of Life. That's 1, 2, 3 in the hymnal. We can remain seated to sing this one. Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me. Let's try that one more time. Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
Good morning. My name is Eric Solberg, he, him. I represent the Board of Trustees here today and welcoming our visitors. I also ask everyone to be involved with our next 2 weeks. I ask congregation members to reach out and get to know our visitors. They'll be here today, they'll be next Sunday. You're all welcome to do any of our excursions. There's a posting listing downstairs. First, can I ask any partnership committee people here to stand up? So we've got Jean and Norm. So see them. We've got Jamie and Carol outside. Oh. Sorry. So there's some members here of our partnership committees if you want to know more information about coming along with any of our outings. That's really great. I also ask our visitors to be involved, to step out of yourself, find out who we are, be curious. Because the goal of our visits here is to make connections with each other. I've had the pleasure of making connections with people in India and Ukraine on their home soil, and they're here today, and some of them are a little bit shy. So I need everyone to step up a little bit. Beacon members, accost them. Visitors, especially our 3 in the back, our young people in the back, Ask questions, be curious about who we are and what we're about. We're trying to give a lot of information about us, our church, our country, but we also want to be involved and to connect with each other. So now for the offering, some of it started already, but upstairs has not. Our morning offering goes to sustain the ministry of this congregation, including vital programs like our partnership. Our offering will now be received with grateful hearts.
One of the things I love to do is to look at old orders of service. And I was looking at an order of service from more than 10 years ago that was during this time of year. And I thought, what a great song to sing. It's in the hymnal. It's number 203, All Creatures of the Earth and Sky. We're going to sing the first 3 verses, which are the verses that are printed underneath the music. And if you don't want to sing the words, you could just sing the word Alleluia, which is a great word for just breathing and being able to sing. So I invite you to rise in body or spirit and join. All creatures of the earth and sky, come kindred, lift your voices high. Rushing wind so wild and strong, white clouds that sail in heaven along. Hallelujah, hallelujah, fair rising morning, praise rejoice. High stars of evening fill the voice. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Cool flowing water, pure and clear, make music for all life to hear. Hallelujah, hallelujah, dance flame of fire so strong and bright. God bless us with your warmth and light. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Thank you, that was great.
Thank you, Misa. Thank you, John. Thank you again, Reverend Morgan, for being with us. For all of our partners here, we're deeply, deeply appreciative. My daughter, Ella, who is 11 years old, and I have the same lost in translation gene. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but we both seem to possess the ability to create wildly incorrect interpretations of ordinary situations. Like recently, I noticed the new feature on Gmail that said POLISH. Now, I have been contemplating a family trip next summer to Poland. You know where this is going. It's an important trip to me with my kids because I have a significant amount of Polish heritage. And so part of what I'm hoping to do with the trip is what my colleague and mentor, Wensler Nosey of the Apache Stronghold, has said, has encouraged me to go back to my own indigenous roots and learn about the practices in Poland and the history there and to experience it if I can. I digress. So, when I saw this feature in my email, I thought, wow, they are really listening in on my conversations. Even my Gmail has been data mined, and they are offering to translate all of my emails into Polish. I spent several weeks looking at this option wondering what excitement it held until finally one day I was feeling particularly lucky and fortunate, and I finally pressed it. And that is when I realized it's just a slight grammar scrub up. It meant polish my emails. Polish. Ella is famous for making family plans together with us and having wildly different interpretations of what we are doing. We can be making plans the next week to go out to a Spanish restaurant, and she is convinced we are planning a trip to Spain. Dinner time for both of us includes moments where we look at each other and realize we are having at the same moment the same misinterpretation of events. And sometimes neither one of us bothers to correct the other one, but just delights with a smile at the interior narrative we've developed. Communication is such a curious endeavor, isn't it? Even if it is in the same language, Polish, polish. We try to bridge the gap, and one word or two can completely throw us off on the wrong course. Recently, I spoke with a dear friend who called me in a difficult time and said, "I wanted to call you because I feel sorry for you." I said, "I don't want you to feel sorry for me. I don't want to be pitied." And she said, "I don't pity you. I'm caring for you." After we finished talking, I realized that it wasn't pity or care that she was trying to express, but compassion that we were trying to reach together. But we just couldn't find the word. Add to this the layer that we are collectively experiencing grief and traumas together now. And that globally we experience the trauma of the pandemic, and many of us still haven't discussed, dealt with that. I know that when I am in a time of great grief or panic or fear, it's hard for me to hear another. It's hard for me to receive what they are saying. And so no wonder there's been so much miscommunication of lately, even in communities where we share values, even in communities where we're all speaking the same language. Add to the endeavor communicating across languages, and it suddenly becomes a new level. Our partners have my deepest empathy these weeks that we will be together. I remember on my recent trip to Transylvania on my first night, I was so proud that I had been practicing my Hungarian for weeks before going on the trip. And I was a little tired, but I was feeling bold. And so when a toast was offered, I raised my glass and thought in Hungarian that I was toasting to the body's collective health, which seemed an appropriate toast to give as we were beginning our time together. But Hungarian is a notoriously difficult language, and I am a notoriously incorrect pronouncer of Hungarian. And so I watched as David, who is here today, and Agnes, his mom, started laughing, and then no one could contain it anymore. And they told me that, in fact, rather than toasting to everyone's collective health, their whole health, I had toasted to their whole butt. Which I also hope is well and good. And yet somehow over the course of that experience, with very few words to share, we at times found ourselves in this tri-partnership, in closer relationship than I'm sometimes able to get with friends whose first language is the same as mine. Relationships, in truth, are funny endeavors. And communication is an exercise in letting go and opening ourselves up again. But there's also an important dynamic of timing to relationships. You can't force a relationship just starting off, whether friends or an intimate partnership, to bear the kind of support, love, and compassion that a long-cultivated relationship can produce. But time in and of itself is not an indicator of the bounty of the harvest of a relationship, is it? Like the acorn meditation, some simply do not grow into a tree. Others begin to sprout, and we are excited. Others get dug up and eaten by a squirrel before they can possibly take root. And some look like acorns, but they're just squishy plastic. So investing in relationships is risky business. There's no guarantee at all for the outcome. Unitarian Universalism is at its core a relational faith. We experience our faith through the relationships with our earth, with each other, with the ancestors, and with those who will follow us. We gather in covenants, sacred agreements of how to be in relationship. And rather than a set of unifying beliefs, we have values that we are called to embody through the layers of these relationships in our world. Which is why our tri-partnership really matters. In a most audacious act of faith, we are building relationships across continents, across cultures, across languages, and even across significant religious differences as well as political ones. You could rightfully ask, what holds us together? It is not the individuals who can come and go, albeit the deep relationships that have formed out of these partnerships. Time moves on and children grow and memories fade. It is not only, with all due respect, Reverend Morgan, the Unitarian Universalist Association that nurtured this relationship and our obligations to them. And it is not only the physical and value-driven commitment to have a tri-partnership. It is that each of our institutions has woven into our story the risk-taking culture of leaning into unusual and unexpected relationships. Each of our congregations, respectively, have created a vessel for this program, this tri-partnership. And sure, there are times when it has cracked and needed a little repair, and I'm not talking about toasting to someone's whole butt. There are times when it has been unclear if the vessel will hold. But we have learned across these years, and we are learning, that the essential container for this tri-partnership, each of our congregations, the institutional commitment to risk being in authentic relationship with no guarantee for the outcome or the harvest, is in fact holding. And in a time of increasing upheaval and disillusion in the United States, when empathy is weaponized and toddlers are put in zip ties, when our relational skills are put to the test, and our own ability to even companion one another in profound grief, to know what is true and real, seems to be shaken. When relating to one another, trusting someone, even making eye contact with some of our neighbors, becomes a conscious and sometimes fearful decision. Institutions and their commitments to being a vessel for this kind of relationship matter all the more, because they give us grounding to transition and transform what really matters. Relationships, individual, will change, Marriages end, new identities emerge, friends grow distant or disappoint, siblings grow up and change, but the institution can weather the transitions and sometimes even facilitate generational transformation. So now may not be the time to harvest that personal relationship, but I would suggest we are collectively in a time of deep institutional harvest. It is time to lean into the vessel our institutions have been and can yet be, the one our covenants create and our commitments shore up. It is time to lean more deeply as the winds whip into a frenzy and the rain pours down, to find the shelter of a freely spirited and chosen institution that says, come in from the storm. Come, dry off, warm yourself, have something to eat, to nurture your spirit. And then when you have rested, let us get to work, because there is so much work to do. In a culture of misinformation and erosion of trust, we tend now to those relationships that our institution has nurtured across generations. We harvest the trust from these institutions that alone, frankly, at least in my own life, seems impossible to cultivate. We do so knowing that someday we will be the trees. We will be the trees that are the shelter from the fierce wind, the trees that will give shade to children sleeping inside or playing on swings. So I hope, like Eric invited us, and like Jean has tended across these years, you will see these next 2 weeks not as an ordinary trip and tourism, but as a radical act to decide to risk being in relationship, to perhaps cultivate something that we will never harvest, but without which our risk would be impossible. So may we live, so may we tend, so may we find more than squishy acorns. Amen.
Robin. We are going to end with a song that was written 65 years ago, so it's a classic. And it is written by a great songwriter, Pete Seeger. It's called Turn, 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 and Dana is passing out some lyrics up front, and we have some lyrics over there, so just raise your hand if you want any. While we're doing that, I'll just say we have another songwriter coming this month to do an afternoon music concert on October 26th, and that's Mark Miller. You've heard his works here before, Draw the Circle Wide, We Resist, a lot of the songs that really speak to what we need to say right now. Marilyn Faltz is going to be selling tickets to that concert after the service, so you could just see her or you can ask me. But for now, we're going to sing this song, Turn, 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 which is about the complexity of our existence. It's about transforming in this time as we go from one end of something you'll see in the lyrics to another state. So I invite you to rise in body or spirit and sing together. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time to every purpose under heaven. A time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time a time to break down, a time to dance, a time to mourn, a time to cast away stones, a time to gather stones together. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time to every purpose under heaven. A time to gain, a time to gain, a time to lose, a time to mend, a time to sow, a time to love, a time to hate, a time for peace. I swear it's not too late. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time to every purpose under heaven. A time to gain, a time to lose, a time to mend, a time to sow, a time to love, a time for hate, a time for peace. I swear it's not too late. Last time. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time to every purpose under heaven.
Thank you. Would you please take hands for our closing blessing? And I want to invite all of us, whether visitor or a partner or longtime member, to head downstairs after our service for a reception. May you be graced with an abundant harvest, one born of the spiritual ancestors who left a light for us still. One born of your own intentions, one born of the communities you have chosen. May they bless you well with a harvest that holds you now. And as you go forth, may you be willing cultivators for the harvest yet to come. May we be good ancestors to those who will follow us. Amen, and blessed be.